Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Imperfect Marketing. I'm your host, Kendra Corman, and today I'm really excited and super duper excited for this conversation with Drewbie Wilson. He is a loving husband and father who pushes himself to live in excellence so he can set an example for those around him. At one point in his life, he weighed over 300 pounds before getting focused on his health and losing more than 100 pounds without fad diets or weight loss drugs, which is very cool. He is an action taker. And from tech support in a software startup to vice president of a multi-million-dollar consulting company, he understands what it means to start at the bottom and work his way up to the top. A servant first, operating with utmost integrity and humility, but he's not afraid to tell it like it is, which is why I'm excited to have him. Confidence and empathy are his superpowers. By going all in on every area of his life, he strives to inspire success driven winners to become the most elite version of themselves. How does he do it? Well, he lives by the mottos call the damn leads and crush the day before it crushes you. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to have you.
Kendra, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And to the listener, thank you for some time today. Time is your most valuable asset. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But for you to be here with us means the world to me. So I'm very excited to be a part of this.
So let's start talking about where you're recording from.
Yeah. All
You were
right.
telling me an interesting story about this.
Yeah. One of the things that my wife and I, my family and I decided to do was to walk away from a multi six-figure salary corporate position that we had worked into, sell our home, and move everything into this 42-foot fifth wheel RV so that we could build our business together and travel around the country enjoying life. Because to us, that's what's really important. Success is a perspective. What we see is going to be different than Kendra. What you see is probably different than what the listener sees. But we know anything is possible if you'll just call the damn leads, first of all. And also if you'll do the work and take action to make it a reality. So this is our new setup. We got a mobile office and also a mobile home. And it's pretty interesting to be able to just pack everything up and move to a new city, new state anytime we want and be home wherever.
So I love the idea of calling the damn leads first off. I
Thank you.
love crushing the day before it crushes you. Um, but one of your big principles is time management, right?
100%. Time is your most valuable asset. It's literally the one thing that you cannot make more of, cannot buy more of. You don't get it in a poker tournament as a prize. You know, everybody gets these birthday cards. And instead of it being like, hey, here's an extra year, it's more morbid and it's like, oh, congratulations, strike another one off. You're almost dead. And so time is truly something that I've learned to be a really important aspect of life and also a reality that we are limited. We don't know how much of it we're going to get. So, where we spend it, what we spend it on, and who we spend it with is how we determine the reality that we get to live with what time we have left.
So in addition to time management, you talk a lot about social media. You talk about how it's made a difference and an impact in your professional success. That can be a time suck at times, right? So what has social media done for you in your business?
So, I love that you very much say it is a time suck if you're not using it as a tool and you're not intentional with the time you're spending there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach and say that I'm perfect and that I don't scroll through reels and send funny memes. Like, I literally tattooed Meme Lord across my knuckles because that's a part of my business. That's a part of our marketing plan to step outside the box and be original for us. And also, I know that if I go in and I spend a very specific amount of time doing a specific set of actions on these platforms, I'm able to get in front of potentially millions of people every single month. And I could potentially spread our message of helping people get dialed in to build a sustainably successful life. Because that's what we do at Call the Damn Leads. And so social media gives us an opportunity to have these conversations over and over and over. Whereas if it was limited to just what you and I could do one to one right now, this is making a massive impact, but it doesn't do anything until it gets posted and we get shared out on social media and we put it in front of people and give them an opportunity to see it. The issue is most people aren't using social media as a tool. They're using it as an escape from reality, which if you want to escape reality, that's fine. But why not just dial in what you want and actually live the reality you want to be living in?
So, how do you recommend people leverage it as a tool?
So first and foremost, you have to get very clear about what it is you're using it for. And is it applicable in your business, right? So if you are an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a sales professional, you're trying to start a side hustle, right? Wherever you are in that journey, understand that you are the business. People do business with people, not necessarily corporations, logos, etc. Now, we get to a point where they're so big that we do business with McDonald's and just whoever the employee is at McDonald's, but until that point, they weren't anything. They had to build that brand. And so any young entrepreneur is the brand. And so when I talk about social media, it's okay, what product, what service, what do you provide of value to your community or to your marketplace? And then how are you making sure to go on and let them know that you are an authentic, cool, relatively interesting person who they would want to do business with, and giving them an opportunity to learn about you in such a way that they can know, like, and trust you enough to then want to proceed with that opportunity and or refer you to someone who may be mentioning it. I think this is something a lot of people forget about, is that staying top of mind isn't always about getting someone to come and do business with you directly. It's about creating that awareness so that if someone's in a conversation 2 to 3 people removed, oh yeah, you need help with marketing. I met this lady Kendra at an event. She keeps emailing me. I keep seeing her stuff pop up. Let me connect the two of you. Maybe she can help you with that service. But that doesn't happen unless you use these tools to stay top of mind and stay in front of people. Does that make sense?
100%. So I was on a call with a friend of mine, Brenda Meller. I'll tag her in this episode. She's a LinkedIn coach, and she
Mm.
was reviewing one of my clients' LinkedIn profiles for me, because sometimes we get too close to it, and I like to have an outside set. So I hired her to review these LinkedIn profiles, and we were talking about what was going on with her son, who had graduated from high school, and what he was doing. Well, he was starting his own car detailing business, and then I don't know, 3 weeks later, and keep in mind, I've seen Brenda a million times on LinkedIn in between, but a few weeks later, a client's like, I want to get my boyfriend his car detailed because we're moving into a house and his truck's going to get dirty. And so I want to get him a car. Do you know anybody that does it? I'm like, I feel like I should. I'm like, give me a second. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, Brenda's son's doing car detailing. And it was like, but again, it was just staying in front. And at this point in time, I don't have a need for a car detailing service because I have my husband. He does that for me. And, he also fills up the car with gas, but, all those little things. But like just staying top of mind and staying in touch gave me that connection to get him business from somebody else that's 2 people removed, right? So yeah, that's what it is, right? When it comes to staying top of mind and keeping things in mind, because you just never know when someone else is going to need the service, right? It may never be you.
And I think that's really the power of word of mouth marketing. If you go back to the basics of building a business before the internet, before social media, it was, hey, you have to have word of mouth. You have to talk about it, and you have to have a reputation as such that people do want to say nice things about you, not like, you don't want to work with those goofballs down at Yutch and Yutch. Like, no, you don't want that. That's negative reviews. That's really what we go on social media now to look for, is, hey, am I going to do business with this person? Well, let me pull up Google, let me pull up social media, Yelp, whatever, and see what the reviews are. Because as long as the majority of those reviews are positive, we're not going to look at all of them. We're not going to go, not all of us are going to go that crazy, but most of us, we're going to look at the top handful of things. We're going to top and look at all the worst reviews just to make sure that they're congruent, because, people have bad experiences. This is just part of the game. But is there consistency? Is there consistency in the good? Is there consistency in the bad? And you can look for those things. And where do we look? Social media, the internet, word of mouth. We want to see what other people are saying about you. There's a quote that I love. I don't want to butcher it. It's Jeff Bezos. He says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And social media is a great platform to have people talk about you when you're not directly in the room. So that's a great way to kind of tie that all back to, it used to be just word to word. One person went to the restaurant, to the bar, to the event. Now it's, hey, I saw this post on social media at 2 a.m. when I was up late doing whatever, and now I'm staying top of mind. And that's what I love about social media, is you can network 24/7 because you're consistently having the same conversation with people over and over and over every time you meet them. Now you just have that conversation one time on social media. You do it in such a way that reads like you're having a direct conversation, and now you're networking 24/7. You're generating opportunity, and you just never know what becomes possible. Sorry, I got excited about that. It's what I
No,
nerd
it's
out
all
on here.
good. It's all good. Well, I actually bought a fishing trip back in a fishing charter in 2019. We were headed for vacation because my in-laws treat me to vacation. And so
Shout
we were
out to
going
your
out to
husband and
vacation,
the
and
in-laws. They sound
I
awesome.
know, right? They
Sorry.
are. They're pretty awesome. My family's pretty good too, if they're listening. I can't leave them out. But anyway, so we were going, so I was like, oh, let's get a fishing charter. And so I went looking, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, there's tons of good reviews. And then I was like, oh, I'm scrolling through the bad reviews. And this one guy complained about it being a bait and switch and all this other stuff that was just really bad, about how they charged him double and things like the the fishing charter company responded, and they said, sorry you felt that way. This is why it was an option. The fish were further out. It costs more gas and takes more time to get there. We asked you if you wanted to be taken to where the fish we knew they would be, because we were catching there, and but it was going to cost us extra to get you there. And I was like, huh, I like these people. So that's what I ended up doing. And so, again, their response to the negative review sold me to the point where I bought that charter specifically, because I felt that they were doing things in a reputable way, even though the review alluded to the fact that they weren't.
Yeah, but that's such a power of being communicative, right? So many people get a negative review, and the first thing they try to do is bury it instead of exploring that, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to learn and to solve a problem. That's what we do in sales. We solve problems. So when you get a negative
Yeah.
review, it's really a great time to look back on, where did this process have errors? Was it our fault? Was it a user error? That does happen, but where can we learn from?
Yeah. One of my clients recently had a negative review, and I was talking to them, and I was like, hey, this is the response I want to put. And it's like this big, huge compliment to this lady for being aware of security issues on her account. And then it's like, okay, thanks for bringing it to our attention. We'll address it. It was like, there wasn't a lot I could do and talk about, but it was like, hey, thank you so much. And you know what? You get a gold star today because you did good stuff with your online account stuff. So,
There you go.
again, there's ways to leverage it to make even people, when they're complaining, feel good about their review of you. So, all right. So let's talk about sales. Let's talk about calling leads, because I've told this story on this podcast before numerous times. If I asked my niece, who's graduated high school a little bit earlier this year in May, if I asked her to call somebody, you like the screams and the temper tantrum from this almost 18-year-old kid, you would think I was torturing her, because she doesn't want to call or talk to anybody ever. Like, I can get her through texts, no problem. I call her. Probably have to call her like 5 times before she'll finally pick up the phone.
Can I tell you a weird little secret, though?
Yes.
I don't like being on the phone either. I'd rather text, I'd rather message. But here's what I know. There is power in communication. And that's really the heart of where Call the Damn Leads comes from. Now, I've got a fun story I can share with you about a marketing company I used to own where this all came from, but I want to preface it with, it's all about communication. And the biggest issue is, most people at this point in our generation, is 2024 right now when we're recording this. If you're listening to this several years later, I'd love to update on like what's happened since then, right? Like maybe Call the Damn Leads has changed the world. I don't know. We'll see. But the point is, so many people it's easy to hide behind the keyboard. It's easy to hide behind a screen and not have to be as direct and honest and open with communication. And so that's where I think a lot of this transition into the social media and this online world is that communication is losing that connection because it's easy to hide behind a screen and say things that you wouldn't say in someone's face. And that can be good and can be bad, I suppose, right? Because there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that will leave those nasty negative reviews, and they're the same ones that are in your building saying all the nice things about how wonderful the experience was until they got home and then they wanted to say something nasty. But that's where the world is. They want to hide behind things because they don't want to have direct communication. And yet, here's what I know. If you look back in any problem that you've ever experienced in your life, personal, professional, doesn't matter, the solution did not occur until you directly communicated with whatever the person, system, process was that was causing the issue. And it sometimes was uncomfortable. Sometimes you had to be really nasty and mean. And sometimes it was just a matter of opening up that line of communication and just getting clarity that allowed you to move forward. And so that is really where, when I say call the damn leads, yes, pick up the phone, call them. If they don't answer, send them a text message. If they don't answer that, send them an email. If they don't answer that, find them on social media. There are ways to go out and accomplish the result that you're looking for, which is communication. So calling the damn leads is a preface for all of it, and yet it's still the best way to create a genuine connection, because when you communicate with someone, there's tonality, you can understand the inflection, there's emotion, there's energy there exchanged. And that's why I think calling the damn leads is so important, because it's the foundation for building that line of communication.
When I was the Jeep advertising manager, I managed, I think, 5 agencies that we worked with. And when they had new like account assistants or whatever they were that started in their roles in the agency, they'd be like, okay, Kendra's direct. If you say something, she might just write back approved or yes, good to go. That means it's approved. You just go with it. They had to explain it and train everybody on it, because I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Dear Michelle, thank you so much for, I don't have time for that. I was getting 50 emails a day from them for stuff to review. I was routing their reviews. I was taking it where it needed to go. I was tracking down their invoices and estimates and everything else. And it was funny because, because there is no tone in email and there's no tone in text. So you have to preface sometimes when you're a more direct person like me.
That point just a little bit though. Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
I want to let people know how important it is that understanding someone's preferred communication channel is an important part of sales. So I'm going to give you guys a little tip that's helped me generate well over $15 million in sales in the last 5 years at an average transaction of $5,000. Just to give you some math to do to figure out, like, I've had a lot of these conversations, so I kind of understand a little bit. That's why I wrote the book on it. Point being, my first question when I generate a communication line with someone is, hey, what made you decide to reach out? Because I genuinely don't do like cold outreach. Usually it's all inbound. So it's, hey, what made you decide to reach out to me? Because I'm not just randomly messaging you. So you made this decision. And would you prefer to have the conversation here in messages or set up a phone call? I'm good with whatever works best for you. And that one line has helped me generate a ridiculous amount of just conversations, because it brings down the guard of the individual on the other side. Kendra, you're probably busy. So for you to just randomly hop on a call, I'm guessing that doesn't happen. I think we booked this thing like 3 months ago. That's how you operate. So you don't just get on random calls. So as a sales professional, I know that I'm not going to be able to push you to set up a call unless you are like really, really interested. And then even it's probably going to be, you're going to say, hey, if we can just knock this out through text, like double thumbs up, right? Like you're going to prefer that. Now here's the nuance to this. Copywriting is how you become an excellent communicator through text, message, email, etc. Because when you learn to use your copywriting to speak eloquently and to elicit those emotions, that's when you become an absolute savage in sales. Because now you give them the opportunity to choose where they want to communicate, and you understand how to bring that tonality, how to use that inflection and that nuance to elicit the same emotion you would if you were on a phone call. So I want everyone listening to this right now to think, if you would invest in just one skill to become a better sales professional, understand copywriting at the deepest level, because that's going to translate to your communication in person as well.
I love that. I've spent a lot of time this year, and actually towards the end of last year, really trying to change my writing in my email newsletters and my social media posts to be more me, to be more my style, I guess, and my personality, and not be my boxed in corporate self, just, for lack of a better term. And the results are unbelievable. They're
I believe
unbelievable.
it, but I've got experience in it. So it's one of those things where I know, and I love that for you, because I know that it's just going to keep getting better. And this, especially with AI and ChatGPT and all these things that exist now, and I'm not hating on those. They're great tools and resources to build with, but they're not to be built upon. Like, that's not everything. Um, it's important to understand that when you are you, that's where the real connection is. When you can create that conversation where someone's reading that and they literally are like, Kendra is talking to me right now. How did she even know? Like, I haven't seen her in weeks. How did she know? Here's the messed up part for y'all too, is as you start spending more time and really investing in creating this content that's like from the heart and with like intent and purpose, people are not going to engage with it right away. They're just going to see it and they're going to be like, man, that means something. And they're going to scroll right past it, because they're probably not ready to have that emotional thought of like, this is something I really need to address right now. But you need to keep doing it, because first of all, when you get started and you're not great at something, it's better to not have a huge audience to like screw up in front of. So it's just get started is the first thing to do. And also, when you start creating that content, what you can do is catalog it and save it, because most people are going to see it and move past it and they're going to forget about it. So you can start reusing that a month from now, 2 months from now. I have content that I wrote 3-4 years ago that I still repurpose in my email campaigns, because I just did the work and then I went back, and as I got better, I said, oh, well, here's how I can adjust this. Here's how I can tweak this. But it was the starting it and doing it consistently that allowed me to reach the expertise level. And so let me just encourage all of you to understand that if you do this and you don't get this huge, massive, immediate reaction, please don't freak out. Please don't quit doing it. Just keep practicing and you will start to see the compounding effect, and it will be massive.
Yep. Authenticity and consistency are like the two key pillars of everything right now. And I think that
Mm.
they have been for a long time, but with ChatGPT, Claude.ai, and everything else in between, I think it's become even more important. And I'm a huge fan of AI. I use AI all day, every day for lots of different things.
Mm-hmm.
It does my bad first drafts. It does, and then I add in my personality. Even though it has my tone of voice and stuff like that, it's still not perfect
Yeah.
by any stretch of anyone's imagination, including mine. And that's okay.
Well, and you know what's important is we talked about time being such a valuable resource. Back in the day, if you and I were to sit down and write an email or a sales letter, it could take us 3-4 hours, 5 hours. Now we can use the AI and we can shrink that down to 30 minutes, because we can just spit out
Mhm.
kind of like a loose leaf idea and then have something trained to kind of give us back a blueprint or an outline, and then we can kind of dress it up a little bit. But we get to compress time because we've learned at a deeper level what we need it to do for us. The biggest issue people run into is they treat it like a robot, so they get robotic responses, which is why everything is very obvious when it's AI done, versus when you know, because you've taken copywriting training and you understand what emotions you're trying to elicit and how you're trying to go about that process in your marketing so that it's bringing that problem to the top and going, oh, this is something I got to fix right now. I got to enter my name, phone, and email so I can get this PDF or get the book or download this training, right? That's what you're learning. And you can use these tools to compress time to put that together, but you have to know exactly what you're putting in there for it to give you the response that you're looking for. Just like in sales, if you don't ask the right questions, they're not going to land on the idea that, hey, I should probably sign up with this guy, because if I don't, like, that thing that I don't want to happen is going to keep happening. And I don't want that to happen anymore. So, like, dude, where do I put my credit card? How do we start this thing? It's the same process. It takes a little time, but when you put in the time, it goes really fast. And then you can reuse it over and over and over and keep getting the same result multiple times.
I love that. So one big thing I'm going to take away for everybody here is to invest some time in copywriting, invest some learning, read from the experts, see how you can identify what your brand voice is. What does authentic sound like for you? What does that look like? For me, might have a Harry Potter reference, The Office reference, Schitt's Creek,
I'm here for it.
those are the stuff that I like. So, those are ways that you can step it up and showcase more of your personality. So we're going to have ways to get a hold of Drewbie, even though he's traveling across the country in this RV, and traveling around and enjoying life, which I'm totally jealous of. So very cool. Now, before I let you go, so we'll have ways to contact him in the show notes. But before I let you go, there's a question that I ask all of my guests. And that is, this show is called Imperfect Marketing because marketing is anything but a perfect science. What has been your biggest marketing lesson learned?
To use more memes. Again, I tattooed Meme Lord across my knuckles.
Love it.
And here's the reason. If we're trying to create connection, everyone loves memes. There's probably a thread in your phone right now where you and a friend, the only thing you communicate with is memes. And remember, communication is the important part of creating sales, is part of like trust. All of that is within communication. What I love about memes is, Kendra, if I know you're into Schitt's Creek, The Office, Harry Potter, well, guess what? If I'm trying to get your attention, I can go and find some of those memes, because there's plenty of memes. I also love Schitt's Creek, so I know there's a lot of memes from that. So I can say, okay, yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, well, let me go get a meme. Let me customize it to something that's really just Kendra's like, oh, dang. And so now I'm cutting through the noise, right? Marketing is to be the thing that gets attention. It's the pattern interrupt. It's the copywriting. It's the headline. It's that big, bold image that you put out there that gets attention. But it's what's in that image that creates that, oh, this is the thing I need to do. This is the next step that I need to take. And what I love about memes is if I'm using them to follow up with you, Kendra, because we've built a rapport, we've had a great conversation, I've sent you the invoice, and while I like to think I'm a pretty great sales professional, nobody has 100% close rate. Follow-up is a big part of this. Well, now if I send you like this funny, silly meme, instead of a 3 to 4 page templated response, it's like, hey, I'm just checking in. Did you sign the invoice yet? Are you ready to pay? Like, that gets old. A meme, though, is going to hit you and go, damn it. All right, I got you, Drew. I got you. And I can track one meme specifically that I've used in my process to make over $1 million in commissions. I'm going to send it to you, Kendra, so you can put it in here and share it with everybody.
I will.
But if you guys will send this meme 4 to 24 hours after your, invoice gets sent out, don't send anything else, just send this one meme, I promise you, you will make more sales. And if you don't, you call me. I'm going to send you a gift card so you can go buy a coffee and prove me wrong. But I know you won't, because it's going to work. That said, thank you so much for the opportunity, Kendra. I really appreciate it, and I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Drewbie. I appreciate you spending all this time with me, and taking time out of your busy schedule as you're traveling around. Again, so jealous. I will have a link to callthedamnleads.com and their e-commerce store, as well as some information on how to get a copy of Drewbie's book. And we'll have all of that in the show notes. If you learned anything today, and I hope you did, because I did, also go ahead, rate and subscribe wherever you're listening, and be sure to share it with your friends. Until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great rest of your day.